Hey everyone, so this is a short video to help clarify some of the things that we've talked about in the webinar. There are two parts to this video series, two-part series. So the first one, I'm going to go over how to identify an interval. So this is interval is 2 notes. And then the second part, I'm going to talk about how you complete the interval. So if I give you one note and the interval that you need to complete it, give me either the note below or above that would complete that interval. Okay, so the first step, this is an interval, and we're going to identify it with a size and quality. The definitions of the interval and also what we're talking about in terms of size and quality, that's all been covered in the textbook, and then also especially in the webinar. I think the one that we went over in detail was the Wednesday, March 25th one. But please take a look at that. Okay, so an interval, right? So interval is the distance between two notes as this is written. So this is the point that I keep trying to make sure that we understand we're measuring the distance between two notes as they're written on the staff. Because remember, there are a lot of notes in music that have two names. So for example, this is a D sharp or an E flat, right? So when we're measuring, we're always talking about the way that it looks on the staff. So here I have a treble clef and two notes, an F sharp and A. Okay, so the first step is to look at the notation to determine the size. The size is the number of letters that are covered by the two notes from the bottom to the top on the musical alphabet. So first, you have to identify the notes. So this is an F sharp, and this is an A. Right? So first, we're trying to determine the size, and by doing that, I'm just counting how many letters there are between these two notes. Again, from the lower one to the higher one, including both letters. So F, next letter is G, next letter is A. So this interval is the size of a third because it encompasses 3 letters on the musical alphabet. Okay, it's very important that you're taking note as to the two notes in the interval, which one's the lower one. You start from the low one, go to the higher one. So don't count from A to F, for example, because then you'll count it to be a sixth. Okay, this is a third. The next step is to find a piano keyboard. So I've got one here. Okay, and to find these notes. So remember the notes that we're looking at was F sharp, where F sharp and A. So just grab a pencil here. So we're looking at F sharp, which is this note right here, and then also A, which is this note right here. Okay, this step is really important that you need to go to a keyboard or keyboard chart. So by just looking at this, unless you have the keyboard memorized in your head, you're not going to be able to figure out this step. Okay, this is important because in the next step, we need to count the number of half steps between the two notes from the lower one to the higher one. Okay, in this counting, again, we go to the keyboard, okay, and we have to go from the lower one to the higher one. Now, in this counting, which is different from counting the letters that are in between the two notes, we have to count the half steps, meaning the first key here, F sharp or G flat, in this case it's F sharp, this is 0 half steps, so we don't count this first note. Okay, this is different than when we were counting the alphabet, because from F sharp to F sharp there are 0 half steps because it's the same note. Okay, so from F sharp to F sharp is 0, so then we start counting. This is 1 half step to G, this is 2 half steps to G sharp, and then 3 half steps to A, and then we stop. So the distance between F sharp and A are 3 half steps, 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Finally, with this information, right, according to the size and the number of half steps, so I'm even going to write this down. So this is a third that has 3 half steps. Okay. With these two pieces of information, then you can determine the quality of the interval. How do you do that? Well, I recommend starting by memorizing the number of half steps for a major second, a major third, a perfect fourth, and a perfect fifth. When you take a look at that chart, which is also posted on Blackboard, you'll see that a major third has 4 half steps. If a major interval has 4 half steps, okay, so let's say major third has 4 half steps, then a minor interval, which is lowercase m in this case, will have 1 fewer half step. So a minor third would have 3 half steps. Right? And that relationship is also covered in one of the webinars, so please take a look at that as well. And also just take a look at the slides, because I post the slides from the webinars, and there are a few graphics on there that you can take a look and should help sort of visualize this relationship. So going back to this, I have a third that has 3 half steps. So the only thing that it can be is a minor third. Okay, so in this case, this is an example of a minor third. Right? And so you're going to repeat this process for any 2 notes that I throw at you to ask you to identify what the interval is. Okay, so start there and make sure that you're going over this information. Again, the resources you have are the slides, the webinars, and the textbook. Also, I've assigned our Artusi.xyz worksheets through our Artusi website. So take a look at that and constantly check under daily assignments on Blackboard because I'll be consistently putting more resources on there to help you as we move forward. Next part, I'm going to talk about how to complete an interval.